Now we're joined by Brian Scalabrine, NBC Sports Boston. He's brought to you by Shaw's and Star Market, perfecting the art of fresh. Brian Scalabrine, how are we doing this week?
I'm doing well. You guys?
We're doing well. I want your thoughts on, and I'm not sure if you heard any of our discussion there about, and it's not the Celtics' fault. Like, the Celtics can't pick who they play. They can't control whether or not Donovan Mitchell plays or Jimmy Butler plays in the first round. So I don't blame them for any of this. But do you think these series, Miami and now Cleveland, are preparing the Celtics for an NBA Finals like, for instance, the Nuggets are getting prepared, being pushed by the Wolves out west?
No, but I'm assuming unless Indiana wins, I don't know if that would prepare the Nuggets, but I think the Knicks will. Like, the Knicks are a tough team. They're a hard-nosed team. Not as much length, don't have like Nikola Jokic, but they'll battle test you a little bit. So for right now, I agree with you. Like, what a ride. Like, it's like they got it's fortune, right? Like, it's fortune that they played Miami with no Terry Rozier and Jimmy Butler. And, like the Cavaliers, I thought that would be a 5-game series, even if Donovan Mitchell played, especially with no Jared Allen. So I think you're right, but I'm assuming if the Knicks move on and that series, whether it's a 5-game series, it'll be 5, maybe 4 hard-fought games.
I heard Perk today say this, and I've heard other people in the media say it as well at the national level, that this Minnesota-Denver series is actually the real finals, that this is like the toughest two teams. What do you think when you hear that as somebody around this team?
I mean, I think it's a dogfight of a series, and they're assuming that the winner of that series will come out and win it all, but like all the gambling websites are still picking the Celtics, and they're like the odds-on favorite to win a championship. They have the most talent. They have levels to go to. So I think we are seeing like the best of Denver, and were people picking Denver to come out of after they were down 0-2, and then are people now picking Minnesota? Like, it was almost like Denver's flawed. It's Minnesota's year, and now people have switched on that. So I get the emotional side of it. And I also get that I don't think we've played our best basketball, not by any stretch, and we haven't been tested enough to play our best basketball. So I can understand why people think that. I will say it'll be really difficult for us to win without Porzingis, but you're going to need some size. You're going to need multiple bodies to throw at Nikola Jokic if he's the guy that comes out of the West. So I can understand why people would go down that road, but I do think there's some levels to this. I really liked what I've seen from Tatum the last 2. I've been calling for it for the last 3 years. Like, superstars are what win you championships. You can look around at all the role players, and we can talk about our depth or our bench or anything like that, but it comes down to stars being stars. And I don't care that Tatum has turned the ball over a lot in these last 2 games. I don't care he's not shooting at a high enough percentage. I care about his aggressive mindset. And I know for a fact we will not win a championship unless Tatum is ultra aggressive. So I'm hoping that he continues that style of play and we figure out a way to get through the Knicks and we see the best of Tatum.
So, Scal, on the subject of this team not playing its best basketball, in Game 4 here, they did some things that I liked. They won a close game. They came from behind in the third quarter there and retook the lead. But they did it all against the Cleveland team without their best players. So how positive do you sort of find those things, or do you not find them positive?
I like the way, like, I know a lot of people didn't like the way that they limped to the finish line. I wouldn't have liked it in the regular season, but I like the math game that they played. Listen, we got to get to about 110. We got to control possessions. The Denver Nuggets did that last night against the Minnesota Timberwolves. They just happened to have a guy like Nikola Jokic who was getting buckets down the stretch. I would like us to make those shots, but I didn't mind the way that we played the clock in the fourth quarter. I think our run in the third shows what we can be, and we can floor you with our talent and our shooting. But I think a lot of people were really upset by the way that we limped to the end. But I didn't have a problem with that because it never felt like to me that we were going to lose that game.
You just touched on Jason Tatum. You said you were happy with his game the other night, and I'd agree he's trending in the right direction. Does he need, as the superstar and best player on this team, does he need to hit another gear, or is the level he's playing at enough to win?
Yeah, another gear. Yeah, for sure. Like levels. This is a great start, right? This is getting the rock rolling down the hill. that rock needs some momentum. And like I think that Tatum has to be out there like looking to destroy people like minute one all the way through. There's no limping into the playoffs. You can, if a guy has a hot hand, you could feed the beast at times. But I think that Tatum and Brown should go out and set the tone. I think the rest of the guys will follow. We have a great team. Derek White is an incredible role player that could not make a shot and then make 5 shots in the fourth quarter. Drew Holiday is going to find ways to get his. There's no Porzingis out there to say, we got to make sure Porzingis is establishing our inside game. As of right now, I don't understand why they're not on, like, seek and destroy mode every minute that they're out there. This is what the playoffs are. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt if you want to take a break throughout the game, but I want those guys to set the tone really early. And my favorite playoff games are when those guys are super aggressive.
What's your confidence level in Al Horford right now? He's been looking, he usually looks so much younger than his age when he's out there. It looks like there's been some more, like he's feeling the miles, at least in the last game.
I agree, and I don't think that, like, I don't think the Celtics plan, I mean, it's nice to have Al Horford, but I don't think the Celtic plan is for Al Horford to play 40 minutes and do what he's doing out there. Like, there's nowhere along the lines that they probably thought, and I think Joe Mazzulla realized this after Game 3. You know what? We need to play Luke Cornett. We need to play Xavier Tillman. Like, we got to figure out ways to be a successful team without having Al Horford out there for 40 minutes. And it's like there's a cumulative effect when you're at that age, right? So I like what they've been doing. I think Al Horford needs the rest, and I think for us to ultimately win it, I think we need Porzingis back out there. Like, he'll take a lot of pressure. I want the fresh, spry Al Horford. It doesn't look like we've had that over these last, couple games, and because, like, he's got, like, that's a big load to carry at that age. He's an undersized big in the playoffs with major responsibilities of rim protection, moving the ball. Like, sometimes there's some post-up opportunities when teams switch. So, yeah, it's a lot for a guy. And I think that's a lot for any, like, even if that was Porzingis on his own, that would be a lot. That's why I love the combination of both of those. So, yeah, when I'm looking forward, can we beat the Knicks because they're all banged up? For sure. But if we're going to beat Minnesota or Denver, which I think is going to be Denver, no, we need like a really fresh Al Horford and a really healthy Kristaps Porzingis.
So, Scal, after Game 2, which I know was a couple games ago now, but we haven't talked to you since then, Jason, that's the game they lost. Jason Tatum came out and said, people call us a super team, but we haven't gotten enough awards for that. I wasn't the MVP. We only got a couple All-Stars. Do you think these Celtics are a super team? And if not, how do you define a super team?
So I think every best team in the NBA on paper is a super team, whatever year that is. And right now, when you have, like, whatever you want to rank Derek White, I think Derek White's a top 50 player. You have 5 guys in the top 50, you're a super team. Like, you're supposed to win the championship. Just go in the rankings. Like, go and look at Denver, go look at Minnesota. Like, they might, like Tatum, if he is a top 5 player, you have Jaylen Brown, who's a top 10 player, top 15 player. Yeah, we're a super team. We have Al Horford coming off the bench. So I respect Jason Tatum for all he did, and now you guys think we're supposed to win every game or blow out these teams. Like, I thought that was I did not agree with anything he said during that press conference. What I think is, like, those guys got to go out there and, like, you on paper the Celtics are the best team in the NBA, but, like, Tatum and Brown have been excellent the last 2 games. Like, that's what makes them a super team. When they're playing like that, they 100% look like a super team. So I don't want to hear that we're not a super team after we lose Game 2 by 24 at home to the Cavs. No, we are a super team. We shouldn't blow everybody out. It's hard to do that in the playoffs. Every game take a life of its own. But there's no question that the talent discrepancy between this team and any other team out there is the most it's been in a long time in Boston. Maybe even more than our 08 team, and like, a lot of people picked the Lakers to beat us that year, but this is like, there's a massive gap. Now, the best player in the world is Nikola Jokic. Sometimes the best player in the world can negate a lot of the talent discrepancy, but I think that we should win a championship, and I think this is absolutely a super team when you got guys like Drew Holiday and Derek White as your role players.
What do you think LeBron was up to the other night? I mean, he's making the moment all about himself and showing up and getting the spotlight on him. But like, what's his end game to showing up to a random second round playoff matchup?
Well, so the word on the street is went to visit Gloria for Mother's Day. You know, I get that. Why go to a game? Yeah, I think it's a reminder to the Lakers. Remember, I can opt out of my contract and I can go anywhere I want to go. And a lot of teams will roll out the red carpet for me. You know, I think there's a very interesting thing going on. Like, Bronny James is in the draft. LeBron James is a high-profile free agent, right? Like, that's really rare. He's talked about wanting to play with his son. I'm not saying that that's going to dictate his decision or not. Teams will have a draft pick, and I'm sure they make the phone call. If we take Bronny James, will you come? If I'm a team like Philadelphia, if I'm a team like Orlando, I'm a team with cap space and a team that could win and maybe it needs to get over that hump. You have to ask yourself, what is the 18th pick worth in the draft? If you can draft a guy like Bronny James and you can get a guy like LeBron James. So I think LeBron doesn't do anything that's not calculated. I think it's a subtle reminder to other teams that, remember, I love LA and I love being in the movies and everything I do. I got a lot of stuff going on out here. But remember, I've left Miami, I've left Cleveland twice, and I'll leave the Lakers if I have to.